At the New York Police Department versus New York Fire Department hockey game, the gloves came off and dudes just started brawling. The centers, wingers, defensemen, all squared up against one another and landed haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. The thing that stands out with all of these clips is the symbolism amongst the electorate and the themes taking place all across the internet for those choosing to weigh in, leave comments, write memes, etc. Damn near everyone, aside from friends and family, are rooting for the firefighters to win and beat the brakes off the cops. For the most part, in this clip, they did just that. Thus, those tweeters, posters, and more cheered on the victories via their hands, not, tasers or guns.
In New York City, a charity game between the FDNY and NYPD on the ice turned into a total brawl. Soon after the puck drop, gloves went flying for some of the players on the ice. The NYPD came up on top with a 3-2 win over the FDNY, the first time in a decade that the police bested the firefighters.
Here's the thing. It's not just hockey.
Battle of the Badges. FDNY versus NYPD, light heavyweights, James Gennari, Joel Allen, Fatal Fury, Times Square, New York City.
The FDNY's James Gennari squared off against the NYPD's Joel Allen in a boxing match, and guess what? It took place in Times Square. Here's how they rolled up to the bout. It was exciting stuff. One had a pretty good breakdown on the rivalry. Their username is Pity.
The NYPD and the FDNY, it's not one big happy family. And it started probably around the time I got hired. The NYPD and the fire department used to get along in the 70s and I guess in the early 80s. And then things started to change. And I don't want to get this wrong, but from what I remember, it first started with there was a contract negotiations, and this like any city, they let the contracts expire and they can go on for years while they're negotiating it, and then you'll get your contract 3 years after it expired with retro pay. And so anyway, the NYPD, there was a bunch of unions holding out against the city, and from what I remember, the fire department broke ranks and took a deal. So that kind of caused some animosity. And then there was a couple of incidents with our emergency service unit and fire department personnel responding to the scene of an accident, had to get a guy out of a car or vehicle the right way.
To give one a view of the disdain each side has for the other, here's how it looked from one attendee's camera behind the goal. All it took was one push and the benches just start clearing. They go after one another, they throw some hands against each other, and one side just starts celebrating throughout all of this. More of the players would celebrate while right in front of the glass, it looked like there was one fist being thrown and then another and then another and then another. All in all, this is what it looks like when you have two of New York's finest, quote unquote, square off against each other in, at this point, a hockey game and a boxing match on skates. More dudes would try to hold off one another, and the tensions were running quite high. Some of the comments that followed these clips circulating, a dude wrote, "Good excuse to legally beat the blank out of some cops." Another, "Why are so many players resisting arrest?" That one was funny. Panic wrote, "Least surprising thing for anyone who has played a beer league team made up of cops or veterans." Underneath it, "I was at an Islanders game once and I was talking to the guy next to me who said he was an EMT and played on the New York City EMS hockey team. He said that whenever they played the FDNY, it was always just a normal game without incident, but the NYPD would try to start blank the entire game." I also remember this sentiment where folks basically said, "Dude, why else do you think this isn't a song? Rather, there isn't a song called F the Fire Department." And this has been expressed over and over and over again. Okay, so let's try to be clear and be as objective as possible. How many times have you heard of a firefighter getting called to the scene of whatever it may be? Okay? Here's what we know. Someone is in distress. Fire department gets the call locally, whatever precinct they go. How many times have you heard, this is very simple, how many times have you heard of the fire department getting a call and then capping somebody? How many times have you heard of a fire department getting a call and what they decide to do is inject a person with a amount of ketamine that is incredibly unhealthy and could lead to death with the way that they treat this person? How many times have you seen the fire department get a call and go after somebody and immediately think they are a threat and I need to take matters into my own hands within a split second, take the weapon on my person and use it against the person who made the call or someone in close proximity to the person who made the call? Those statistics are ridiculously low. Ridiculously low. And there's good reason. That is why when I see those tweets that are like, why else do you think there isn't a song called F the Fire Department? And why you think so many firefighters are not only beloved, but also not seen as posing a threat. It's because of this. It's because of the way that they respond to people who need their services. They are literal lifesavers. The cops, not always. Not so much. The statistics would show that they are a constant threat. And the people who are doing the calling are in need of help. Not of being severely hurt, tortured, or even killed because you decided to dial 3 numbers in an attempt to save your life. That is why so many root for the fire department and not the cops. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.